All right, welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're tackling something that's, well, it's kind of moved from the back office to the absolute forefront of business success, intellectual property strategy. And for everyone tuning in, understanding this stuff it's not optional anymore, is it? It's like the essential playbook for anyone trying to navigate, let alone thrive in, this crazy knowledge-driven world we're in.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It's not just about, oh, patents and trademarks. Like, we'll deal with that later. No, no.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that how you strategically manage your intellectual property, that's become the core engine of how you actually create value in today's economy.
And to unpack all of this, we're diving deep, right into the deep end with Dr. Benjamin DELSOL. Specifically, his article, what was it called again? Yes. The Future Belongs to Those Who Protect Ideas, subtitle. Why Strategic IP is the New Gold Standard. And that title alone, right? That's the takeaway right there. It's not just legalities, folks. It's about securing your future.
It really is. And the article lays out such a powerful case for why strategic IP, like it or not, is the bedrock of succeeding in this landscape.
Okay.
So our mission, if you will, for this deep dive is to really unpack that argument, understand why this is happening and what it means for businesses of all shapes and sizes, your business included, dear listener.
Okay, let's unpack. So Del Sol kicks off by really highlighting a fundamental shift in, where economic power lies. And it's not about physical assets the way it used to be, right?
Precisely. We've seen this dramatic, really dramatic move away from, tangible stuff like factories, machinery. That used to be the driver of wealth,
Yes.
right? But now,
Yeah.
center stage belongs to intangible assets. And he cites the 2023 Ocean Tomo report. You ready for this? Intangible assets, they now represent over 90%, a full 90% of the S&P 500's market value.
90%. I mean, think about that. Just a few decades ago, the companies everyone considered titans, they were built on something entirely different, weren't they? It really drives home the point that if you're not fiercely, and I mean fiercely protecting your IP, you're essentially neglecting the vast, vast majority of what your company is actually worth.
It's mind-blowing, isn't it? And that's Dale Sol's point, that despite this, so many companies, organizations, they still treat IP, this crucial component of those intangible assets, as like a secondary concern. And it's not just inefficiency anymore, it's a straight-up risk, potentially fatal even, especially in this environment.
Potentially fatal. And the antidote he gives, the new, what does he call it? Gold standard, is strategic intellectual property management. It's flipping the script, right? Going from just reacting to IP needs to proactively building and managing it as a core asset. The driver, even.
Exactly right. And all of this is happening, well, it's happening as technology is accelerating like crazy. It's what he calls, and I love this term, exponential technological acceleration. We're talking AI, quantum computing, biotech, clean energy. I mean, the speed is just breathtaking.
It really is. It feels like every day there's something new. So connect the dots for us. This rapid fire innovation, what's the link to IP strategy?
Well, what's fascinating is that governments all across the globe, they've caught on. They've realized that future economic strength isn't about resources anymore, the old way. It's about this innovation supremacy. And they know that strong IP, leading an IP, is the key. It's not just companies competing, it's entire nations vying for dominance through protected ideas.
And he gives some really concrete examples of this, of what he calls the global IP arms race. The U.S. Chip, Tease, and Science Act, for instance, a whopping $280 billion just focused on bolstering domestic innovation, particularly in semiconductors. I mean, talk about a clear signal, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's a declaration of intent. And then you have China with their Made in China 2025 program. This is deliberate, focused, aiming for leadership in 10 key sectors. How? Through, as DELSOL puts it, massive IP acquisition and development. They're playing the long game, strategically building a future on their own protected innovations.
And the European Union, they're not sitting idly by either. They've got their own IP action plan, strengthening protections specifically for startups, smaller businesses. So it really is, as you said, nations understanding their future is tied to how well they generate and protect intellectual property. The takeaway, it seems, is that just being first to invent, that's not the end game.
Not at all. The real win, whether you're a giant corporation or a plucky startup, is knowing how to protect, leverage, and then successfully commercialize those inventions.
Yeah.
And that's where strategic IP management comes into play.
Now, DELSOL talks about this dual nature of IP. He uses this great analogy, shield and sword. Can you elaborate on that for our listeners?
Sure. So on the defense, think of it as your shield. A solid, thought-out IP portfolio. It protects you. It protects your company from others, infringing on your hard-earned innovations. It's about creating barriers to entry, making it tougher for competitors to just waltz in, and it can give you that leverage, when it's time to negotiate.
So it's about securing your position, preventing others from, well, essentially ripping off your ingenuity.
Precisely. But then there's the offensive side, the sword. Here, IP becomes this powerful tool to create value. Companies can license their technologies, get those royalties coming in, they can shape industry standards, even block competitors from certain markets, and, importantly, spin off new revenue streams entirely based on those protected innovations.
He gives examples of, the big players, Qualcomm, Huawei, IBM, NVIDIA, these companies that have built what he calls vast patent fortresses. It sounds like for them, IP isn't just defense, it's a source of power.
Oh, absolutely. It gives them influence, freedom to operate within their industries. And what DELSOL really emphasizes is that this isn't just a game for the big guys. Smaller companies, deep tech ventures, startups, they need to realize that a smart IP strategy, it can be the difference between, explosive growth and, well, getting lost in the noise.
Especially for, say, you're leading a startup with a groundbreaking technology, but resources are tight. A well-executed IP strategy isn't optional, it's survival.
Exactly. DELSOL doesn't mince words here. He calls not having a deliberate IP strategy, and I'm quoting here, strategic negligence. Strong words, but they reflect a reality.
Strong but true. He also delves into the role of IP during times of economic volatility, which is, well, it's something we're all too familiar with these days.
Right, when you've got instability, recessions, inflation, all of that, it tends to erode the value of those traditional tangible assets. But strategically managed intellectual property,
Yeah.
that could be a haven of stability.
A safe harbor for your company's core value, even when everything else is going haywire.
Exactly. And it gives you what he calls strategic optionality. He uses the COVID-19 crisis as an example. Remember that. Companies with strong IP portfolios, they were able to pivot faster, develop new products, even license out their tech for new uses. And importantly, they were able to attract investment based on the strength of those intangible assets.
Makes sense. If your core value is in your protected ideas, that value can endure even when physical operations are disrupted.
Exactly. And this has led to, well, investors paying attention. They're prioritizing what DELSOL calls IP maturity. IP due diligence is now standard. If you're seeking funding, partnerships, it's non-negotiable.
So if you're not on top of your IP game, you're not just missing out on an advantage, you might be actively excluded from those opportunities.
That's the key takeaway. It's a decisive factor now.
DELSOL then makes this point about innovation itself, that its value diminishes or is even lost completely without proper protection.
Right. Innovation takes investment, talent, research, time, money, lots of it. If you don't protect it, it's vulnerable. It gets copied, commoditized, and essentially someone else benefits from your hard work.
That's got to be frustrating. You do all the work and someone else reaps the rewards.
It is. But a smart IP approach transforms innovation into an engine of value creation. He uses Tesla as an example, which is interesting.
Because they have that image of open innovation, but they're still fiercely protective of their core tech.
Precisely. Their battery tech, their powertrains, manufacturing processes, all of that is locked down. And then there's Moderna, whose success with the mRNA vaccine, well, it wasn't just the scientific breakthrough. It was also their early aggressive patenting strategy.
So whether it's seemingly open or traditionally protective, the point is, IP strategy was central to their success from day one. It wasn't an afterthought.
Right. It was baked into their core strategy. And this leads nicely into his strategic IP playbook, where he lays out the key elements. This is the practical stuff, the how-to.
All right, let's get into it. What are the components?
First and foremost, identify and prioritize core intellectual assets. This is about auditing, really understanding what technologies, processes, designs, data, even brand elements give you that edge. What are your crown jewels, IP-wise?
Know your strength, basically.
Exactly. Then protect with precision and foresight. Choose the right tools. Patents, trademarks, copyrights, trade secrets. It's not about patenting everything. It's about being strategic. Understanding what needs protection based on your goals, the tech landscape, and the realities of enforcement.
It's about being smart and targeted. Okay, what else?
This is key. Integrate IP deeply with business strategy. IP is not a siloed legal function. It's part of everything. R&D, go-to-market, funding, M&A, even international expansion. Think IP at every stage.
So it's an active part of achieving your business goals, not just a document in a drawer.
Precisely. And don't forget, continuously monitor, enforce, and adapt. Set up systems to track infringement, be ready to enforce your rights, and be flexible enough to adapt as things change. It's ongoing.
It's dynamic, not static.
Got it. Now the fun part. Monetize, license, and leverage aggressively. Find ways to extract value. Licensing, alliances, cross-licensing, even spin-offs. Turn those protected ideas into actual financial returns.
Make that IP work for you.
Exactly. And lastly, but so importantly, foster a culture of innovation and IP awareness. Make IP part of your company's DNA. Everyone understanding its value, contributing to protecting it.
Make it part of the culture. Okay, now at the end of the article, DELSOL introduces himself and his firm, also called DELSOL. Tell us a bit more about that.
Well, having laid out this argument, he positions DELSOL as a partner, helping organizations achieve this strategic imperative. He highlights his background, European patent attorney, litigator, degrees in IP law, physics, even neuroscience. It's a unique mix.
That is quite a combination. Deep science knowledge and legal expertise.
Right. He also has experience as a fractional Chief Intellectual Property Officer, a CIPO, and Chief Intangible Assets Officer, working with international companies, seeing the challenges firsthand. And his roles at the Quantum Strategy Institute and I3PM show he's deeply involved in the strategic side of IP.
And his partnership with the World Business Angels Investment Forum, that says something about his understanding of the investment landscape and how crucial a strong IP portfolio is for attracting funding.
Absolutely. He also mentions his own concepts and methods, deep techemization, an IP-focused due diligence approach, very forward-thinking. He positions DELSOL not just as a law firm, but as a strategic partner, guiding businesses through securing, managing, and maximizing the value of their IP.
So expert guidance, holistic approach, global reach, and a focus on the future, especially in areas like deep tech. That sounds like a valuable partnership in this day and age.
It does, doesn't it? And he ends by bringing it all back around. In today's knowledge economy, he says, protected and managed ideas, they're the foundation of wealth and success.
And his message is clear. The time to act is now. Not tomorrow, not next year, now.
The future, as he says, belongs to those who protect their ideas.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, here's a thought for you, our listener. How are you approaching IP? Is it an afterthought, a box to check? Or is it the core strategic asset it truly is? What can you do starting today to elevate your IP strategy and secure your future in this crazy competitive world? It's a question worth pondering, and hopefully this has given you some food for thought.